Hello Cancer, welcome to your reading. My name is Maria and this is a tarot intuitive story for you if you have Cancer anywhere in your chart, and even if you don't. If you feel drawn to this video for some other reason and it resonates with you, then it's also for you. So it's a timeless reading and you can switch around the past and present tenses depending on when you find it. You'll be at different points in the storyline. So we have a reading today for you about, I think, your work life, your career, and or some environment that's been important to you that you've spent a lot of time in and a lot of energy on. And we start out with the backstory about where you were when in the beginning of this journey that you take, where you were in an environment or in a job or a career that that was not a very free-flowing place or a very free-flowing experience. It was somewhere where you either couldn't, because of the culture of that place, show up just unabashedly as yourself, or you at least felt like you couldn't, like there wasn't really room for that. And you did actually, I see you come out with the Peacock and the Eight of Materials. So I actually see you, doing very well in this environment. Nevertheless, it's not a particularly easy environment to do well in, but you have done incredibly well and you've been able to show up very beautifully and very skillfully. But it looks to me like a job, career, or environment that hasn't been feeling very safe. The suppression card comes out clarified by these two cards, the totality and the Queen of Emotions, as two energies that were not really room for. There was not really room for emotional intelligence, emotional expression, or actually emotions maybe in any capacity. And it also wasn't a place where people would have each other's backs. Might have been a very harsh environment where people were just tending to their own interests or not really helping each other. Could have been a place of a lot of ambition or a lot of prima donnas, but either way, it was not really a place where you felt safe to be. There probably wasn't, or you felt like there wasn't anybody who would sort of catch you if you fall. Everybody was kind of just looking out for themselves, and so some energies that would have probably been really good for you were not really present. But as I said, nevertheless, you managed to shine in that environment. You managed to do well. But it does come out a little bit as if you had to be very performative. You really had to kind of show up and show your feathers and be something that was fitting into that mold, fitting into that way of being, into that environment. That was maybe not exactly the most well suited to you. Well, you certainly made it work. You made it more than work. You did really well, but this creature is not completely as true to your deep truest nature as it would be if you were able to also show up with some depth and with your emotional IQ and with all of these other things that had to be sort of out of sight in that environment. And you developed an incredible amount of skills. You did really, really well, and you've done it very gracefully. But over time, it started to maybe become clear to you that there was a deeper emotional reality that was not being very fulfilled and that was not moving in the way that it needed to move. and that there was not really room for. So I think that in some deeper part of your psyche, you knew that you were actually, this was sort of less of what you could be compared to what you could be if you could bring all of your depth with you into a work environment, for example, because this one has horsepower. And here, with what you were doing, you had to have 8 human arms in order to try to do the thing that you were doing. You did well, but it was maybe a little stressful or quite demanding. And the reason why you didn't really show up, I think, it's sort of like you put on a persona. And I'm not saying this was in any way untruthful or false, or not at all. It's just, it's certainly, these are skills and abilities and shine that you have, but it's just not the full package. It's just something that you felt safe showing, and then something else was held back. And the reason why, I think, is because you've probably been in a career or environment with a lot of projections. Now, examples of this could be, for example, if you've been a teacher or somebody who is sort of getting up in front, actor or singer or performer, if you were getting up in front of other people and doing something that they looked at, then that's sort of one of some of the areas of life where there will be an incredible amount of projections, because that's what people do. That's what we all do when we see somebody getting up in front of us and really standing in the spotlight. We just all of us start with all of our projections and shadow sides, good and bad. Doesn't necessarily only have to be bad, but it could be like worship, or it could be envy, or it could be just all of it. And I think that being the very sensitive, insightful, sensuous being that you are, in the sense that you feel everything, all of the energies, you were probably very acutely aware of this, and you didn't feel safe to show yourself fully as you are. In that, you felt safer sort of flashing your feathers, understandably. Also, they're beautiful feathers. But really what's hiding underneath it, what has been hiding all the time, is an incredible depth. Your depth of who you truly really are. It's so deep, it's so mysterious and mystical, and it's actually, if you see here, these two look a little bit alike, right? So it's kind of like you were doing a magic trick. You were sort of showing off all of your skills and doing the things so you could get up in front of people and do a lot of things, and then because you were so skillful at it, you could actually stand in front of them without them necessarily completely knowing what your actual depth is, what you're actually made of, that you're made of quite a lot more than just somebody who has a lot of skills. You're actually a much more powerful magician than that. And that might have been an environment where it was not safe to show it, or you could have had an old memory of how it's not safe for you to show your really magical, mystical, deeper self. So you were sort of it's like, the magician who does one thing with the one hand, taking your attention, and then doing the actual thing with the other hand. It's a little bit like that. You kind of hiding in plain sight. But at some point, some energy inside of you or outside of you, I'm not completely sure, came in, and it looks like this. And to me, it looked a little bit like mother, or maybe that friend you have that just sort of says it like it is. Kind of gets in your face and like, I'm gonna tell you the truth, and just maybe like that could have been a mentor, or it could have, of course, been an inner voice. And if it just comes out as very feminine and maybe related to you, So, you know, if it's somebody who's related to you, it could still be an inner voice, or another, you'll know probably, but some voice comes in and actually would like you to see that, you know, somehow this sort of mother-ish energy shows up to point out that you're actually not being completely yourself, and that maybe this environment that you're in is not actually giving you the option of fulfilling your full potential, because you know, you can't bring what's maybe actually potentially the most beautiful part of you into it. And so it's sort of like it's showing you the road that you're on, that might be quite an intellectual road. This is the Muse of Voices, which in another deck might be called the King of Swords. So it's sort of an air energy, which is much about the cognitive, the mind, the mental energy. And you could have been in a area of life, in a sort of a career that had a lot to do with your intellectual capacity, which would also explain why you didn't feel safe to show your emotions or your spiritual side. And so this bridge looks like this. It doesn't look very nurturing to me. It's more like you kind of just want to really cross that bridge as fast as possible and get to the other side. But the Queen of Materials here is coming in to say, yeah, that's not good enough. You should be walking this road. Flowery, beautiful, earthy, with a lot of rewards here and now. Not rewards that come at the end of a long bridge, like you're going and hoping. This is where the rewards are sort of raining down as you go, and that where it feels good and safe and nurturing to walk the path while you're walking it, and it's not only about the goal. And it also, this one, it came out a little bit as a very feminist energy. It could be that too, because it's going from, as I said, from the Muse of Voices to the Muse of Materials. So this one could also be a mentor or somebody who comes in to say, yeah, all of this intellectual energy, and maybe you're getting a lot of accolades in a sort of intellectual way. That's not good enough. You need to get actually paid more. You need more actual compensation. Like all of this pie in the sky fluffy stuff, no, just ask for a raise. It could be that kind of energy. Or it could be, it also came out a little bit as menopause, which can be something you actually went through. It could be that kind of energy, which is, you know, sort of a radicalizing of a woman, because, well, it's a spiritual portal that she goes through, and she sheds a lot of old people pleaser energies and all of that. And it's just also, it's a scientific physical fact that you just stop producing all those hormones that make you want to smooth everything over. So you're just not taking as much BS once you reach that age. And so that might have also been it. You might have realized, could have been something very practical, as such as pay, but it could also have been just a feeling of it, that you felt like it's not giving me enough. This is not nurturing me on every level, and that's what I want. I want something that nurtures me on every level, and that feels good while I'm doing it, and where there's a little more room for me. So I think that you've been going through that, or you are going through that, and you probably made or are making a big switch because of it, realizing that you actually want your work life or this environment that we're talking about to be quite different, to feel different, to look different. And so you've made that shift, or you're about to, excuse me. Then something quite astounding happens, because it's not the end of the story. You start making this shift where you go for energies that are much more comfortable and nurturing, and then it's like some deeper part of you starts excuse me, seeking some deeper work. It's like some part of your psyche, your heart or subconscious part of you starts looking for something more, something else, like it woke up. And you could have been doing this consciously, but it's like you go on a vision quest in actual fact, or in your deeper self, to because you've woken into, as it turns out, more consciousness than just shifting from one bridge to another. Some deeper part of you has been waking up and started realizing, oh, there might be actually something else entirely, something that's not about a bridge at all. And so this is sort of a process that's going on inside of you. And you, in that process, you will meet, or you are meeting, a very, very true part of yourself. Your inner child, untouched, full of magic and mystery. And it's so pure. It's so enticing. It's just, it changes you to meet this. And I think that you could, this also came out a little bit as if you meet an actual child. A child comes into your life, and it just throws this magical glow around you, or it awakes a magic inside of you. And I think that you've started realizing, or you're about to realize, that this was great. This was a great step for you to move to the next level. But really, this is the one you want to get to. This is where you want to reside. And that one is underlined by the Two of Materials, telling me that it's sort of like this one came out and said, yeah, all of this intellectual, doing all of that stuff that you did here is not gonna cut it. You need something, or I need something that's a little more real. But now it's like, it's as if it's coming together. You're developing something inside of you that's making it possible for these two, both of them, to be a part of you, plus magic and adventure, like plus something completely stunning and other, and truthful and amazing. And when you reach that point, which you might be at, or it's coming, that is when you become a star in the making. That's how this one always comes out. It comes out to me as a little star about to sort of burst into becoming a full-blown star. And it's like this was what you were meant really to get to, because being this is much more truthful to you. It's a sea creature, it's a watery creature. It holds both magic and mystery, emotion, intelligence, and all of it. And the thing that then happens is that you emerge in a completely different way. This is really what your inner truth is all about, is about making you into this one. When we started out the reading, you were sort of, your emotions were sort of hidden in the from the environment that you were in, and also maybe a little bit camouflaged with all of these things. But having gone through this whole experience and this journey where you've been developing within, I think, your public persona or your work life, you actually ultimately are emerging or will emerge as this stunning creature that has no shields, that has no camouflage. Here, you show yourself fully, all of you, with peace and power and in the full light of the sun. It's really stunning. It's really, really a new paradigm. And at this point, it looks to me like you don't need bridges anymore. You sort of transcended that, like it's a whole paradigm shift. Somehow you switch so radically at this point out of what you've been doing that you don't actually need any of it anymore, if that makes any sense. So I don't know how this is evolving for you, but that's just how it's speaking to me. And so in the last card of the reading, you come out as somebody saying goodbye to whatever it was that you were doing, or to that environment, or to the bridges, or some paradigm. You simply completely saying goodbye to it, because you're walking into a totally other reality, much more sunny, much more truthful to you, where you can be your whole self without hiding or censoring or camouflaging or doing magic tricks to derail attention over to other things, where you don't have to have 8 arms to do the thing, where you and your personal power are the thing. And so the reading ends with you saying goodbye to that and walking into this rosy, sunny light, and having a really, really fresh new beginning, where there's room for all of you. Kind of stunning. So yeah. So this was your reading, Cancer. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And if you did, it's much appreciated if you like and comment and subscribe. And I hope to see you next time, Cancer. Bye.